Welcome to the Bladen County Board of Commissioners meeting Monday, November the 4th. If you'll please stand, I'll lead us in prayer, and Mr. Greg Martin will lead us in pledge of allegiance. Please pray with me. Our dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another day filled with your grace and mercy. I ask that you would help us make wise and fair decisions for the citizens of Bladen County. Thank you for everything you have done for us. Bless us as only you can, and be with us now and in the days to come. These things I ask in your precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we approve the consent items, I would like, with board approval, to remove item 14, closed session.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Cogdell. And now I entertain a motion to approve the consent items with the amended agenda. Mr. Dallas, second by Mr. Gooden. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? And at this time, we have a special recognition for the animal shelter supervisor, Ms. Karen Sutton. Smile big.
Have you got my idea?
This is an exciting day for the Bladen County Animal Control Shelter. We're pleased to announce that the Petco Foundation has awarded us a grant of $50,000 for the life-saving work of the Bladen County Animal Control Shelter. The money invested will be used to build a quarantine and puppy area at the shelter, which will allow the staff to be more effective in quarantining sick dogs and to limit the transmission of life-threatening illnesses. The quarantine area will also help to decrease the length of time that dogs stay in the shelter due to illnesses and just decrease the number of euthanized dogs due to illnesses. The ultimate goal is to have happier, healthy dogs become more ready for the adoption quickly. We're grateful to the Petco organization, but especially to Karen Suggs, who took the initiative on her own and with about 3 days applied for this grant. And we are so appreciative and thankful and honored that she works with us.
Karen, in grateful appreciation, has given exceptional service and obtained special recognition 4th day of November 2019 Bladen County Board of Commissioners. And here is a little token of appreciation. We do have a policy when someone goes beyond their role or job, there is a incentive for them. This is what Karen's getting, a little check for her incentive and motivation and everything.
Thank you. I always got cookies and kittens on it. I can honestly say that I love my job. You have to love your job in the animal control field or you don't need to be there. And I have a wonderful staff, co-workers, bosses, and I'm just very grateful. Thank you.
Okay, item 4 is matters of interest. Commissioner, anyone have anything tonight? I have 2 things to report. Both of them good news. The floodgates for the Kelly Dyke, Ford County gave Bladen County or gave the Kelly Dyke Commission $25,000 to repair the floodgates. So the floodgates are going to be repaired. We got letters last week. The state is in the process of releasing that $300,000 to do the engineering study. So now we're waiting on $300,000. We sent out RFQs, I think, Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir.
So we're waiting on those to come back. And once we get the engineering study, then that's when we'll, fill out the RT, the military, and hopefully the military will come repair the levee and we'll put it back in the Corps of Engineers. So that's the latest and greatest on the docket. Miss Ann Garrett dropped this off a while ago, the Bladen County Veterans Day ceremony. She said she didn't have time, she forgot to get it on the agenda or just slipped up on it. But it is Thursday, November the 7th, 11 o'clock at Elizabethtown Presbyterian Church Fellowship Hall. So everyone is invited to attend, please. So, no other commissioners? Individuals, delegation wish to address the commissioner, Mr. Robert Brooks.
Good evening, everyone. Chair, Speakers, and Commissioner. I want to introduce myself. My name is Robert Brooks. I was born in 1955, and I was adopted down here in maybe 56, 57. But my father, Paul Brooks, was the last federally recognized Indian in Washington County, and he came down and stayed with us since about 1975, and he found his youngest and came on down. But he was land was being put in trust and kind of into the Bureau of Indian Affairs, but Dad passed away August the 20th, 2013. But I kept him for about 7 years, and he was a baby and all the time. But nevertheless, though, I was asking to introduce, to recognize my daddy, Paul Brooks, as last Native American was recognized under the Reorganization Act of June 18, 1934, and hoping that the county, the great county of North Carolina, Bladen County, would recognize that.
Okay. Mr. Martin will get with you, and we'll do that maybe the next meeting, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Is that agreeable to the board? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the book, yes,
Okay.
Mr. Brooks provided information,
Okay,
just
great.
pass it around.
He's got a book you can look at and pass around.
Your father's first name was Paul?
Paul,
Okay.
thank you.
We'll recommend contact with you.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else, Ms. Marie?
Yes, sir. Don Melvin.
Mr. Don Melvin?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager, County Attorney, thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. Just two issues real quick. One is a dump right beside of my home at 204 Melvin's Landing, Tar Heel, North Carolina. I have addressed the board on this issue before. Nothing to my knowledge has been done about it. I've talked with the county manager, and supposedly it's going to be cleaned up in the near future, but my problem with that is that the gentleman who's responsible for it has not told the truth in the past, and any help that any of y'all could give me towards this, I would greatly appreciate it. The other issue, I'm going to be very brief with it. I've suffered through some false arrests in the past. This past Friday was a week ago. I was falsely arrested again for supposedly I was hiding in a ditch at 6 a.m. wearing all black, jumped out in front of a loaded logging truck. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that I try to operate a business on the side called Tar Heel Outdoors. I have a campground. I have some of the best deer hunting, turkey hunting, coyote hunting, and fishing in the state of North Carolina. I had people, friends of mine, clients from Southport, Myrtle Beach, all over the state, scheduled to come in. And once they were aware of this last false arrest, they said that they're not coming. and I don't blame them. They're concerned for their safety. Bladen County, unfortunately, doesn't have a very good reputation because of the congressional ninth district fiasco recently, last year, whenever it was. And until I get some help with my problem, Bladen County's reputation is not gonna get any better. And that's basically all I got to say. And I appreciate your time, thank you. And I need help, and I appreciate anything that you could do to help.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one question?
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I placed, with permission, I placed a folder at each of you's location here with information about all my false arrests and illegal issues with Bladen County.
What's the question, Mr.
Only
Bowles?
question I got, you said 204 Melvin's Landing.
Yes, sir. It's in Duarte, North Carolina.
Yes.
Duarte is where 20 and 87 intersect.
Is that a state or county road?
It's a county road.
County.
Yes.
State probably.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, y'all have a blessed day.
Item 6, NC Juvenile Justice System Representative Jim Speaks. Mr. Jim,
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Jim Spate, who is the Director of Juvenile Services, and Ms. Annie Harvey, the Deputy Director.
First of all, let me thank Mr. Chairman and County Commissioners for giving me an opportunity to talk to y'all tonight about a possible partnership with the Sheriff's Department and juvenile justice. Y'all all aware that December 1st of this year, raised age takes effect. So what juvenile justice is doing is looking for partners to house juveniles. They have to meet certain standards, but what we do is what we have done is we've already met with many sheriff's departments across the state that were interested in housing our juveniles. And the reason being, right now we have some closed facilities, but the renovations would be enormous for us to go back and open up. And then by the time we did that, December 1st is right around the corner, as you all know. So this would expedite the housing of the kids. There are some restrictions as far as sight and sound education. We talked to the sheriff about all these. We've actually taken a tour of the jail, and it will meet the standards we're looking for as far as housing kids. As you're all aware, right now for a juvenile to be housed, let's say without raised the age, if a juvenile is picked up in Bladen County and it's taken to either New Hanover Detention or Cumberland Detention Center, the county is responsible for $122 a day for that juvenile. The state's also responsible for $122, which makes it $244 a day. So we talked to the sheriff, and if he can house our juveniles, the state would be willing to pay $244 for any juveniles outside your county. Right now, you would bill the state for $244 for those juveniles, and for any juveniles that are actually Bladen County juveniles, you would bill us for $122. I think it could be a great partnership. We love your support, and if y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Anyone have any questions?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Where would you, I know the quads, they will be housed, like what area?
Yes, ma'am. If this comes true, we're gonna put them in the female pod now, and the reason being is you have to have visitation with the parents, and we have a direct route to that pod. And there's a thing we have to do, we have to put another thing. There's a few things we have to do in the state, and that they need met with the county manager and myself. And our jail secretary, David Shaw, looked at it, and the most, that the cheapest way we can do it is what we're looking at, if y'all agree
At
with
that
it.
location?
And we also, there's some things you have to have, detention officers within the pods, with juveniles at all times. So, there's things we gotta do before we ever be able to do this.
At
If y'all
that time.
agree. Yes, ma'am.
Cardell.
I know out here juveniles and they had to be housed separate in certain areas and couldn't intermingle with people of certain ages. Who handles the liability for anything that happens to these kids? The state pick up the liability, the state pick up the medical, who picks up all the financial liability for the children?
We discussed that, the facilities. Juveniles a little bit different from the adult system, where our kids now that come to us are still under the supervision of the court counselor, and the parents are still involved with these juveniles. So if a kid comes to us, basically the medication is brought with them if they have any type of medication or medical needs. Court counselors usually set up those appointments and make sure that the parents are at the appointment as well as the juvenile. So it's a little different from the adult system and how we house it. If you, and I told the sheriff, if you got somebody in your facility that could drive up your costs as far as medical, we could move them to or transfer them to a state facility. We'd be willing to do that.
The last thing I wanted to ask is when you put them into the system, is it for a duration of time? Is it limited, time limited? Is it 1 year, 2 years, 10 years? Is it time limited for juveniles?
There are statutes with juveniles that they have to go to court within a certain amount of time. The average length of stay in most of our detention centers is basically about 17 days. You may have them come in overnight and be gone and leave the next day. They can be there for 2 weeks waiting on a placement. Usually they're back in court, they have their initial hearing, then they're back in court every 7 days, unless the attorney waives that right. It's going to be a little bit different with the A through Gs, with raise the age. They're going to be sent to juvenile, but once they've had their arraignment, they will be transferred over to Superior Court, which means they'll be going to adult court, unless it's remanded back to juvenile court. But they'll be going to adult court, and usually your transfers will stay in our system anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on.
One last thing. When they were pushing this legislation at the state level to change this, the main push behind it was to remove the kids from the adult environment. That was the main push, was to take them out of that environment. But, so you guys are putting them back in that environment?
Well, it's sight and sound separation, and it's going to be primarily, still what you're housing now, the 16 and 17-year-olds. The good thing about them coming into the juvenile system right now is the big push was that these kids don't have a record that follows the rest of their life. So they can go get a job in North Carolina for committing the same offense that somebody in South Carolina or Georgia committed worse offense, but wasn't a part of their record. So it's allowing kids to get into college, allowing kids to go to schools, allowing kids to get jobs. The sight and sound separation is a big piece. The supervision is a big piece that they have to supervise kids is 1 per 8 and that's the PREA guidelines, federal guidelines, is 1 per 8 during programming hours and 1 per 16 at nighttime. So you have to have that direct supervision all the time, where in the adult system you don't. They have to have education, right to education, so there'll have to be a school and programming. So it's not like, it's still in the jail, but it's a separate part of the jail. We work with Mecklenburg County. They're repainting some of their units at Jail North in Mecklenburg. They're putting softer furniture in, just soften it up a little bit. But we worked out where they're going to house about 70 some of our kids. We've also worked it out with Moore County to house some. Madison County, in the western part of the state, their contract actually started November 1st. They have 6 of their folks in our training now, 4-week training, sheriffs will need to send some folks to training, juvenile justice training. It's a little bit different from, I guess, the training that the jailers go through now. But we would pick up that cost, that 4 weeks of training as far as cost and the housing.
Mr. Chairman, may I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things I think you're talking about is the difference in managing an adult versus a child. And so the training will afford the staff an understanding of what the differences are, how a child thinks differently, how their brain has not totally formulated into being an adult. And so all of those things will make the difference in them being housed in the jail December versus being housed there now. And so that's one of the biggest parts is the separation, but also how do you interact with them? How do you manage them? And that training will be provided by us.
Do we have to do any type of building renovations for physical activity for these kids?
The only thing we have to do is, we'll put a fence, a divided fence, and we'll put concrete in the back section. We've already changed it out so forth. And I want to talk 1 second, if you don't mind, about the education. Well, we actually provide that. It goes through the county board of education or either the community college. And in doing so, all the FTEs come here. And if this comes to be, we talk about housing 21 inmates. So that's a lot of revenue.
So that was where I was gonna ask, if you could get a little more clarification on with the education part, when that was brought up, was how would that be administered to the students in there?
Either through the superintendent of the board of education or the community college.
Yeah, thank you.
This is just a transition place, not a permanent. This
No,
is transition.
no, this is just a transition for detention. You're probably, you had a good question, I mean, but as far as long-term housing, they're called youth development centers in the state, and that's where they would go, which is longer term.
So right now, y'all are short on housing. This is a temporary fix.
Yes,
of
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? So, it's not an action item, but I think we probably need consent for the sheriff to move forward. Is there consent to move forward? Make that motion. It's not an action item, we need a consent, just consent. We just got a consent, okay? It's not an action item, but we want to move forward. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Mr. Mike East? Yes.
At this time, I'd like to introduce our U.S. Marshal for the Eastern District, Mike East, and Nate Mason, who is the Deputy Marshal.
Good morning, or good evening. We're here to talk about the transition of y'all housing federal inmates, or federal prisoners. I think y'all just been approved according to Washington, D.C. And so we're here to answer any questions that you all may have regarding that, the housing of prisoners here in Bladen County.
Anyone have any questions?
Sure. That's on the,
Yeah, y'all should have had a copy of that.
You gave that. That's what I'm saying. So this is in the area, like from the local U.S. courts that's in the area?
Yes,
They've been
sir.
sent in from those courts?
Yes, sir, these will be federal inmates, yes, sir, or federal prisoners.
Like
Yes, sir.
from Wilmington and Lebanon?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For the 44 easternmost counties.
I'll entertain a motion to approve. Mr. Good, second by Mr. Trish, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Sheriff, if you would please, I personally would like, when we built this jail bigger, the commissioners that were here when we built it, to do things like this. And I commend you for your looking forward, and with you and your staff, and what you're trying to do to make, that jail be productive and help our citizens in Bladen County.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And you're gonna need even the staff, additional staff.
Item 7 is Mr. Ken Clark, MC, Department of Transportation.
Good evening, thanks for your time tonight. What I have on the agenda is 3 items requesting a adding some roads to the state system. The first one is Morganwood Estates, just outside of Lisbon here. It was originally platted as a private road, but it was platted with a right-of-way for the homeowners association as well as it's paved. All the homeowners there have agreed that they would like for it to be in the state system, verified the signatures. So because this is a no-cost opportunity to add this, we are in agreement to add this to the system if it was desired.
Pleasure of the board. Motion by Mr. Trivett, second by Mr. Brett. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Item B.
Okay, number B, similar situation. This subdivision was approved in the early 2000s as part of the county's subdivision ordinance. It was built to state standards. We were waiting for it to actually meet housing density requirements. It does meet that density requirement now, and the developer's gone in and made all improvements needed for it to be added to the system. So we'd like to add this as well.
Motion by Mr. Brett, second by Mr. Trivett. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Okay, third one's a very similar situation. It was actually planned prior to 1975. It is paved, so we can add it to the system at no cost to the state. We'd like to add this to the system as well.
Mr. Brett, second by Mr. Trivett. Any discussion?
Question.
Yes.
It's gonna be called Westwood Drive and Westwood Circle?
There's actually two streets in there. One's called, it has two areas. One's called Westwood Drive and one's called Westwood
Okay,
Circle.
all right, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If someone else wanted to do this, is there a set of rules and govern how you transition something like this?
Absolutely.
Is that available to us?
The first thing.
You don't have to explain tonight, I'm just
Okay.
asking, where do you get those rules to make?
Probably the best thing for me to do is lay it out and send it to you. The first is the general statute. If it's after 1730 to 1975, it must be paid in order for us to add it to the system. That's usually the deciding factor that either makes it go forward in our studies or kind of cuts it off right there. That's kind of the prime factor. The next thing becomes, is right-of-way available? And the third factor is the cost of the state to add it. If it costs us a lot of money to add it up front, we don't have a fund like we used to in years past to add some of these roads that aren't in great shape. So pretty much they have to be in really good shape for us to take them off the system now.
Mr. Ken, you can forward that to Greg.
That's what I'm saying, we get it to us, some people be asking that.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Mr.
All right, thank you.
Revenue Department, Ms. Renee Davis.
Good evening. I'm here for a bid and offer of $6,000 was placed on 255 by Bladen Union Church Road. It was foreclosed by the county in 2016. Investment to the county was $8,400. And just here to consider to approve or decline.
You looking for
It's too much.
That ain't consistent with what we've been
Yeah,
doing.
somebody's
Not consistent.
Well, it's not second, I make
Motion
motion to
on-
approve. Oh, he didn't.
Motion on the floor to approve. Is there a second? Guys, like a second.
Make a motion to decline.
Dr. Field, Monday morning, second by Mr. Trivett. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Emergency Service, Mr. Nathan Dallas. Consider approving a month-to-month lease agreement with Horns LLC.
Horn is the, IEM was the previous contract company with the state. It was out at the chapel at the training center that was helping these, citizens with the CDBG money. Apparently they sent that bid out. Horn won it this time. It's been a smooth transition so far. I know they've done about 3 or 4 closings in the last week.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Dr. F. Montgomery. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item D is considered approving and requiring forms of documentation regarding CDBG-DR grant award related to Bloomer Drainage Project.
These are some extra documents that North Carolina Office of Resiliency and Recovery, y'all approved to move forward with this a while back. We signed it. The review committee sent us back this information that needs to be completed to go forward that money. There was a concern with it being $45,000. Obviously, we know that's not a lot of money to do a drainage study, so that's why you see the updated map in your packet. I tried to do a best guess estimate of what they would be able to do, but pretty much, when we get this money, we're gonna administer all the RFQs and everything that's got to go out for this full blade MER, but, we don't know how much it's gonna do until they actually start, but this will be the area we would start with.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Ms. Trivett, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, item C. Update regarding the Bladen County Fire Chief Association request for additional staff at training center.
So this letter was sent to me, if you're not aware, we have the fire association with the county. We also have a fire chiefs association. They meet prior to the association meetings the second Thursday of every month. The last meeting, I was not there. I was actually out of town with training, so I was not able to make it, but they made a motion to approve writing a letter addressing the commissioners for a training or a maintenance / housekeeping person at the training center full time. I know the letter mentions a name, Lane Robertson. He was actually out at the training facility for the past year, even before I started, maintaining the facility as far as minor maintenance, housekeeping, cleaning up all the classes. He was very active with Dorian in the EOC, running things to shelters and things like that. So this is just a letter from them. They sent it to me, asked me to get it to y'all on the agenda. That's what I've done, so.
We will look at that.
Hey, Steve, can I ask something that maybe the commission look at? When we come in here, it's a series of events that's being talked about incorporating at that facility out there. Is there any way we can get some type of outlook of where we're going with that place in the next 5 years or 10 years?
Mr. Carter, you need to talk about it on a commission comment. That we're talking about employees. It has nothing to do with
the employees.
the future. We can talk about that later.
How you gonna do it?
Mr. Dallas, we'll get back with you later
Can I
on.
ask one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones, will the association pay for that position? Thank you.
I'm not speaking for them, but under the assumption, I would say no.
The letter was addressed for us. Thank you, Mr. Dallas.
Thank you.
Bay Tree Lake Fire District 1.
Motion to approve.
Reappoint. Dr. Crosby among going, made the motion to reappoint, second by
Wait. This is supposed to be for
November 18th. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Truitt. Oh, what do you make a motion for?
Because I felt the switch this time. Thank you.
Okay, my fault. Look at November 18th, Bay Tree Lake and Clark Fire District. And then in December the 16th, you got a bunch of 16 or so. Okay. Individual delegation wishing to address the committee. Anyone left?
Mr. Chairman, I got one statement. The sign at the intersection of 242 and 701, Mr. Martin, it's installed backwards.
Sign at intersection of
242 and 701, the new area there.
Okay.
The sign is installed backwards.
I seen it today. We'll get it fixed.
Hey, I talked about this last meeting, and I don't mean to come down hard on commissioners, but there's a place for commissioners' comments.
Well, I didn't think about it until I.
And if you want us to add item 13 for commissioners' comments at the end of the meeting, I don't have no problem with that.
That'd be fine with me.
Let's add that in there, but some of you think.
Yeah, because you don't think about it until.
Do we need a motion to do that, Mr. Martin?
Are you
Okay,
saying
we just
going
do it.
forward?
Going forward.
Yeah, we can just do it.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do that now.
Okay, yeah.
That'll clear up everything.
Some of the stuff I want to ask about.
County manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to begin by briefly reviewing the calendar with you for November and December. And point out that the Ministerial Association meeting will be held tomorrow morning at the hospital at 8:30 a.m. There's also an Economic Development Commission meeting tomorrow at 12 noon. A couple of board members will know on that. On Wednesday, the 6th, from 9:30 until 11:30, there's a Medicaid managed care outreach event at Robinson County DSS. Also, that morning in Clinton at 10 a.m., there's a Connect Program Award recognition for Star Telephone, and you all are invited to attend that. From 2 to 4, the Medicaid Managed Care Outreach event also will be held. And then that evening at 5:30, it looks like every other Wednesday, the diabetes forums continue at Baldwin Branch Missionary Baptist Church. On Thursday, as was mentioned earlier, at 11 a.m., there is a Veterans Day ceremony that will be held at the Elizabethtown Presbyterian Church in the Pack Building, which is behind the church. And on Saturday the 9th at 9 a.m., there's a Veterans Day service at Paul R. Brown Academy. It's titled Our Salute to Veterans, and you all are invited to attend that. Actually, on Monday, on Veterans Day, just want to remind you, the offices are closed for the holiday. But also that day, the DAV, the Disabled Veterans Association, will have a ceremony at the Bladenboro Historical Building. And I'm not clear on the time on that yet. Do you hear it? Okay, so I haven't heard the time. On Tuesday, the 12th at 2 p.m., the opioid.
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Okay, so the Bladenboro event will be at 2 o'clock on the 11th. Thank you. At 2 o'clock on Tuesday, the 12th, as indicated, the opioid working group meeting will take place at the Health Department. Also that evening at 5:30, the Health and Human Services Advisory Committee meets. On Wednesday, the 13th, from 11 until 2, the Bladen County Employee Appreciation, it's actually from 11:30 until 2. The Employee Appreciation Lunch will be held at the Pal Melvin Agricultural Center. On Thursday, the 14th at 7 p.m., the Bladen County Fire Association meeting will be held at the Training Center. It will be hosted by the White Lake Fire Department. On Friday and Saturday, the 15th and 16th, the third annual Pork and Beets Festival will be held here in Elizabethtown at the Farmers Market. On Monday, the 18th at 5 p.m., the Cooperative Extension Service will have its report to the people, and you all are invited to attend that. The Board of Commissioners meets that evening at 6:30. On Tuesday, the 19th, which this is the third Tuesday instead of the second, the Elizabethtown White Lake Chamber Luncheon will be held. On Wednesday, the Diabetes Forum continues on the 20th. Offices will be closed on the 28th and 29th in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. Moving over to December, on Sunday, the 1st at 3 p.m., the Elizabethtown Christmas Parade will be held here in town. There's a prayer service on Monday the 2nd at 8 a.m., and the Board of Commissioners meets that evening at 6:30. The Ministerial Association on the 3rd. Wanted to point out on the 5th at from 11 until 1, the Bladen County Sheriff's Office Christmas Party will be held. On Saturday the 7th, the Bladenboro Christmas Parade will take place at 10:30. Health and Human Services Advisory Board meets on the 9th at 5:30. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chairman, the December opioid meeting will be canceled, so I think we will likely not meet then. The Diabetes Forums continue on the 11th at 5:30 at Baldwin Branch. The board meets on the 16th, and offices are closed on the 24th, 25th, and 26th in observance of the Christmas holiday.
Mr. Martin,
And-
just to add.
yes, ma'am.
On the 7th of December, East Arcade will have our second Christmas lighting at 5:30.
Okay, thank you. There are no other items for the calendar. Moving to item B. You all will recall at the last meeting, a request was made for an additional part-time position for the animal shelter at a cost of approximately $7,300 for the remainder of the year. So if the board's inclined to support that, funding could be approved from $7,300.
Motion by Mr. Cogdell to approve, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Mr. Chairman, can I just take one moment to just let you all know that we had a very successful county surplus auction Saturday. I'd like to commend Mr. Kip McClary and the general services staff and folks from Motor Pool, the finance. It was a team effort, and it was Mr. Jimmy Smith did the auction, and he said it went as smoothly as any that we've had here. So just want to commend everyone for that, and it was a positive event.
Thank you, and finance, and your staff, both staffs, and whoever else. Thank you. I will pass it on to the staff. Tell them we'll let them eat lunch, Thursday. We'll find them lunch. Anything else for veteran of Bladen County? Motion by Mr. Britt to adjourn, second by Mr. Tripp. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?